Artur Beterbiev knocks out Isidro Prieto in the first round. Prieto came out quite assertively, and to me it looked as though his strategy was to try and push Artur Beterbiev back, get him on the back foot, and hopefully take away his power. Now that works with some punchers, but it clearly don't work with Artur Beterbiev, or it certainly didn't in this fight with Prieto. As I say, Prieto came out quite assertively. He wasn't overtly reckless. He was trying to press the issue with a jab, get Beterbiev going backwards, and Beterbiev gave up ground quite willingly. He didn't seem to feel any need to try and meet Prieto head on and force back his advance. He said, okay, you want me on the back foot? I'll go on the back foot. And in one sequence, he backed towards the ropes and they both threw right hands. Beterbiev having the better technique with, as I say, his back virtually to the ropes, connected first with his right hand, and down went Prieto quite heavily for the first knockdown. Prieto got up and all of a sudden he wasn't coming forward anymore. He was backpedaling at a rate of knots and in full-blown survival mode virtually. He had his senses scrambled a few more times with hard shots without going down, but eventually Beterbiev caught him in a corner, unleashed on him, and Prieto went down once again. This time, it looked as though the referee had waved it off as soon as he hit the canvas, but he picked up the count from the timekeeper and he was looking at Prieto very carefully as Prieto was drunkenly getting to his feet, and a few more stumbles while the referee was administering the count, and that made him decide to call it a day right there and end the fight. Can't really argue with the stoppage. So Beterbiev walks straight through this guy. It was impressive in as much as Beterbiev didn't go looking for the knockout. He let the knockout come to him. And again, anybody thinking that all they need to do with Beterbiev is just put him on the back foot and that's half the fight won, looking at this fight right here, you might need to think again. Yeah, he can actually throw shots off the back foot, which is something that not every big puncher can do. Most of them can't actually, in my experience. I mean, they can throw punches off the back foot, but can they throw with the kind of power that they have going forward? Beterbiev, on this evidence, seems to have very good power even going backwards. David Haye style. Maybe not quite as good as Haye, that remains to be seen in terms of power on the back foot, but still, he managed to drop this guy who had never been stopped before while the guy was coming forward and Beterbiev was going backwards. Let's be real though, Prieto is an unknown in boxing. I'd never heard of him before this fight. You look at his record and, as I've mentioned previously, and I like to say a lot, it was a who's he list of boxing obscurity. So we're putting things into perspective here. We're not getting carried away with the opponent. But nonetheless, you can't do more than beat what's in front of you. And Beterbiev did it pretty much flawlessly this time around. Flawless victory like Mortal Kombat. So let me know what you felt about the fight, people. Beterbiev knocking out Isidro Prieto. And who would you like to see Beterbiev fight next? His management team, his promotional team, have been talking about him fighting an eliminator and then taking on the winner of the Kovalev Ward rematch. Other people, myself included, would like to see him go the WBC route, since him and Adonis Stevenson, the WBC light heavyweight champion, are both promoted by Yvonne Michelle, and they're both advised by Al Heyman. So politically, it's a very easy fight to make if the will is there from the two participants. There's also the possibility of a Nathan Cleverly fight, and as far as fights before a world title shot, the commentators mentioned the idea of perhaps matching Artur Beterbiev with Joe Smith Jr. Joe Smith is coming off 2 good wins, a first round KO over Andre Fonfara, which is more impressive than Beterbiev's KO over Prieto, surely. Simply because of the level of opposition. And also, Joe Smith is coming off his knockout win of Bernard Hopkins, becoming the first man to ever do so. Although, very old Hopkins. So, what do you guys feel about that potential fight? Artur Beterbiev versus Joe Smith Jr. Do you think Joe Smith would go for that? Joe Smith, I'm not sure who manages and promotes him. Forgive my ignorance here. I haven't really been paying attention. I'm not sure exactly who manages and promotes him. So, would they really want to put Joe Smith in with a Beterbiev right now? Somebody that young and dangerous. I know he fought, as I say, Hopkins and Fonfara. I hope I didn't say somebody else other than Fonfara earlier on. It's quite late now. I'm getting tired. But yeah, I know they put him in with those guys. But now that he's achieved a certain status off the back of those 2 wins, do they want to almost go backwards in a certain sense by fighting another contender? Don't they want to gun straight for one of the champions? We'll see. But as far as the fans, would you like to see Joe Smith Jr. versus Artur Beterbiev? And if you do, how do you see that fight going if it took place? How do you see Beterbiev faring against any of the light heavyweights out there? Kovalev, Ward, Stevenson, Cleverly, all these guys. Even some of the other people like Alidier Alvarez, Gonzalez, the Cuban, the guy who lost a close decision to Pascal, Sullivan Barrera, who's coming off a good win. Would you like to see Beterbiev in with any of these guys? How would he do against any of them? Let me know in the comment section below. It's your boy Hatman, I'm out.